From strictly a resource standpoint, we've got to be greener, we've got to be more efficient. In fact, that's what drives a lot of my budget anyway. If I can show the savings over here, then I can justify additional programs over there. So, the real advantage of what we have here is that these data centers and this consolidation effort that we have underway, it's given the CIO much better understanding of its inventory out there. Mm-hmm. We have visibility now, and someone had mentioned this earlier, is the visibility into all the assets out there. So I think it's going to make the federal government and industry as a whole much more leaner and much more hungry for being able to do a lot of this work. And you touched, Brian, on a very interesting thing, the sharing between agencies. And that mm-hmm. certainly is one of the things that we're trying to do at the Department of State. Overseas, we're building all these embassies all over the world. And these aren't cheap buildings.
Sure.
And what we find is typically going in there, and in some cases we'll have as many as 45 different agencies
sure.
represented in these buildings that we put up overseas. Each one wants their own little data room. Each one has their own computer room.
I remember that issue.
So we've laid down the law on that. We only have one unclassified computer room overseas and sharing. So that's kind of been the beginning for us, is to have that common computer room overseas. And I mentioned earlier in the show is that now domestically we're doing the 2 data center model back here. Additionally, we are bringing some of those foreign affairs agencies into that data center as well. So I think that's kind of the first step. Okay, we've got them co-located, we've got them in the data center, and then the next step has to be is the sharing of information. If you look at situations like we had last Christmas mm-hmm. with the underwear bomber.
Sure.
Okay, the business of getting that information out quickly is critical to the
right.
national security.
Right.
And so the real key to all this is being able to share that data and have common platforms out there that between state, Department of Homeland Security, FAA, it doesn't matter what agency it is,
right.
that we can share rapidly and quickly that critical information that depends on our national security. But really, I think, and more, that the security aspect of this is going to be critical, because we are going to get away from that fixed desktop.
Right.
You talk about the vision of the future, and certainly in the State Department, it's critical for us. It's no longer about bricks and mortar so much. It's that diplomat, he has to be mobile. Wherever he is, that's where he needs to have his desktop.
Right.
So certainly that's the direction that we're going in. And by compartmentalizing, by bringing these data centers together, having multiple agencies in there, it's going to enable that diplomat to have all the information he needs right there at his fingertips.
Yeah.